Alright guys, so welcome to another WISP video. Today we're going to focus on using proportions to find percent of a number. There's a lot of different ways to find percent of a number, but since we've been working with proportions and setting up ratios, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to find percent of a number using what I think is the simplest way. For today, what I want you to remember is really this right here. Is over of is equal to percent over 100. If you remember that setup, then finding a percent of a number is going to be pretty easy, and once you get the hang of it. So let's begin. So Chem vocabulary, for those of you that like Chem vocabulary, I like Chem vocabulary a lot just because it is a good way to organize your notes. But really, to find today's objective is percent ratios. To find percent of any number, or vice versa, to find over 100%, 5%, 1%, any percent of any number. And it's a setup of percent ratios. Percent is always over 100. Remember how we talked about that in class. The magical number for percent is always 100. So for your memory piece, just remember that if I get 30% over 100%, I have 30%. You may also want to look at it as if I have 30 over 100, that really means out of 100 I have 30. So this is really my part, and this is my whole, my maximum. So let's begin. First question is, what is 50% of 60? Yes, I know all of you know that 50% of something is just meaning cutting it in half. I'm going to start out simple with something easy so you can follow along. So if you remember the very first slide, I told you to remember is over of. So always write that down real quick. Is over of is equal to percent over 100. After you have that, go to your statement, and I'm going to switch colors so you can see it. Find the is, find the percent, and then find the of. But this time the of is attached to 60, so go ahead and box both. So look, I have in my three key component. So what is 50% of 60? So the first thing you want to do is write down the is over of equals percent of 100. The second thing you want to do is find the percent. You always want to find the percent first because that's the easiest to identify. So since I found that, I know that that's 50%. I'm going to go ahead and put it in right there. So I'm going to go blank is equal to blank over 100. Here's the tip. This 100 right here will always be there in my expression. So 50% is just 50 out of 100. I can forego the percent sign because they already gave me the percent sign, so I know I'm not looking for the percent sign. So the is of 60, so here's of 60. So instead of writing of, I'm going to write 60. And then is, what is, they didn't really give me a number for is, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a variable, x. This should look familiar now. From here, I know I can do what we call cross product. So 100 times x is 100x, and then is equal to, I know that 60 times 50, well, that's 30. Add 20, that's 3,000. And then to solve for x, I divide both sides by 100. Oops, sorry, I wrote 1,000. Didn't mean to do that. It means supposed to be 100. And then I can cancel out my zeros. This cancels out, so I get x. 1x is equal to 30. So what is 50% of 60? Well, 50% of 60 is 30. And this is over of business is true for 95% of our statements that we're going to be playing with. So we'll see all sorts today. The next one. What percent of 92 is 23? So step one, just go ahead and write it. Is over of is equal to percent over 100. Next step, write it blank. 100 right here. Next step, find the percent. What percent of 92 is 23? If you notice right away, percent is in a word. So that means I am going to be looking for percent. So I'm going to go ahead and put an X right here. And then comes the tricky part, the is over the of. So I know the is 23, it's right next to the is. The of is right here. So just put 92 because that's where the of is. The is 23. So 23. So there we go. Is over of equals percent 1 over 100. So this time we're looking for a percent. So I know I need to use a percent sign in my answer. So I can cross multiply. I know that 92 times x is 92x. I know that 23 times 100 is 2300. I divide both sides by 92. You can use your calculator today. So 2300 divided by 92, that would equal 25. So 25%. So 25% of 92 is 23. A quick way to check your work is to convert 25% into decimal form. So if you look here on the screen, I'm going to clear this. 25% in decimal form is 0.25 times 92, because that's my of, or my whole. I should get 23, which is correct. I got 23. So I know that 25% of 92 is 23. Okay, so that's 25%. Again, this one is the same thing. It's called a sliding scale sometimes to set up proportions. But if you look on the screen, it says 20% of what number is 5. So go ahead and draw your blank over 100. I know this is. So I'm going to write it on the side for you. I know this is the percent. Okay, now go and find your percent. Well, here's my percent. It's given to me, so I'm going to write that number. You don't need to write the percent sign once it goes over 100. 20 over 100 is the same thing as saying 20%. Of what number? Of what number? There's no number next to of, so I know that needs to go x. Is 5, I'm going to circle that, is 5. There we go, it goes right there. So is over of equals percent over 100. So cross multiply. I get 20 times x is 20x is equal to 5 times 100 is 500. Divide both sides by 20. Divide both sides by 20. This 0 cancels out. 50 divided by 2 is 25. So x is equal to 25. If you go back in your statement, you're going to say that of is 25. So what does that mean? It means that 20% of 25 is equal to 5. You can quickly check your work one more time using your calculator. Sorry, my calculator is gone. Find it real quick. So 20% in decimal form is 0.20 times 25 is my whole number. I should get 5, which I do. So I know that I got it right. So I know that 20% of 25 is equal to 5. Again, is over of equals percent over 100 works every time. Why don't you go ahead and try this one? Pause the video for a second, set up your is over of equals percent over 100. When you think you have an answer, push play to see if you get the same thing. I will continue on, so I'll see you in a little bit. So first thing is first. Blank is equal to blank over 100. Find the percent. So what percent? It's a word, so I know I need to find it. Of 2,000. Go ahead and box that. So I know that is over of. So 2,000 is 204. So 204 is what percent of 2,000? Quickly cross multiply. You know that 2,000 times x is 2,000x. I know that 204 times 100 is going to be 20400, so 20,400. I divide both sides by 2,000. This becomes 1x is equal to divide this side by 2,000. And I should get, use calculator again, 20,400 divided by 2,000 is equal to 10 and 2/10. So I know that since I'm looking for the percent, it's going to be 10.2%. Let's check our work real quick. If I divide, oops, if I take 10.2% times 2,000, I should get 204. Oops, sorry, I multiplied there. 0.012. Convert it to a decimal first. Times 2,000 should be 204, which is correct. So I know I have the correct one. So this one, the answer is 10.2%. Okay, so 10.2% or 10 and 2/10% of 2,000 is 204. So that's pretty much it for today. So remember, this is what I want you to whisk the video about. Is over of equals a percent of 100. So in your questions, come up with some examples on your own and test it. See if the is over of equals percent over 100 works. It works all the time. The difficult part, if I'm going to go back on the slide, is finding the key components. Find the percent first, and then find the is or the of. If the is or the of doesn't have a number attached to it, then you know that's what you're looking for. If they give you the percent, just put the number over 100. If they give you the word percent, you know that that's X or Y or Z or whatever variable you want over 100. So that's all I have today. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in class, and I'll check your whiz.